Hey everybody, welcome back to my shop. If you're new here, I am the conservative Christian. I am 7 years clean and sober, over 7 years clean and sober. I did almost 10 years in prison for all sorts of wacky stuff. And now I am free and off parole, all thanks to God's love for me. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I'm having a blast. I'm getting a few more. Learn to speak before you speak. I'm getting a few more subscribers, which is amazing. If you guys could share these videos out, I don't care which one it is, if it's the Monday, Wednesday, or Friday video. If you could get it out there to someone you think it's going to help, someone you think it's going to impact, that's all that matters. So thank you guys. I appreciate you and cannot wait to continue seeing you guys come back again. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments or if you have anything that you want to kind of admonish me with, let me know. I am open to anything that you have coming my way. And if you would like, I'll even feature it in a future video. So, today is Life Story Monday. And we talked about my childhood before addiction. We talked about my outward, seemingly, actions in high school and a few of the things that were the undercurrent of what was causing those things to happen. Before I get started, if you notice, it's a little bit brighter in here. I updated some of my light bulbs, so if you notice that, let me know what you think. Let me know if that makes it better or worse. It's a lot brighter in here, though. It's a lot brighter, which is really nice when you're doing woodwork and stuff. Okay, so 2 videos on high school, 1 video on childhood. Today I want to talk about what happened up until the first time I went to prison and my time in prison. So I did not graduate traditional high school. Shocker. Right? I couldn't do it. I mean, I could have had I applied myself. The problem is I didn't like school enough to want to apply myself. And so at this stage of my life, it was very, very difficult for me to apply myself for myself. I needed to have a reason. And my parents made an amazing decision, which was more, it wasn't like I'm telling you to do this. It was more of an offer of, hey, we're going to give you this opportunity, but you have to take it. And that was, they gave me the opportunity to decide if I wanted to go to the National Guard Challenge Academy in Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Close to Tomahawk, close to Sparta, a little bit in that region. And even though I still went down the road I went down, I have to give them a ton of credit. Because a lot of the things that I learned there, once I did get my life together, I employ them to this day still. You know, a lot of, like, my beliefs on accountability, responsibility, perseverance, a lot of that has to do with the things I learned in the Challenge Academy. And I'm not going to say it was easy or hard, because depending on who you are and depending where you are in the Challenge Academy is what makes it difficult or hard. Like I said, is whenever I would do something bad and get caught, deal with the repercussions and the consequences, I was pretty good. And for the longest time, especially at this time, I was a follower. I didn't lead anybody. I followed. And if given orders by someone that I truly respect and want to make proud of me, just give me the word, And off to the races we go. And so, your first 2 weeks at the Challenge Academy are what's called candidate phase. You're technically not a cadet yet. You're not part of the program yet. This is to prove if you're really willing to change. And I was. I didn't want to keep getting in trouble. Throughout the majority of my life, there are very few things that I can look back on that involved getting in trouble and be proud of. Very few things. So, them giving me the opportunity, I was like, heck yeah. What do I got to do? And so they can't make you do push-ups. Legal reasons. We were children because you had to be 16 years old and 9 months to 17 years old, I believe. So we were still children, minors, you can say. But tell you one thing, they got creative. Jumping jacks, running in sand, just starting at one point, being told to run somewhere for formation, and you almost get there, or you just getting set up formation, and all of a sudden, nope, you got to run back to where you started from. And just they very creative in how they work you physically. And this whole time, you're not doing any schooling. You're not. It's literally, you get issued your clothes. You get taught anything that you didn't already know. Your basics of what you're going to be doing there, like marching, shining boots, how to make your bed, how to set up your footlocker, how to properly clean a bunkhouse or a barracks, whatever you want to call it. And during this time, there wasn't a second of that I didn't think I was going to make it, because I was still in that honeymoon phase of, I'm not going to do anything bad because I just got done being punished and everything. And some kids would consider this a punishment. I look back and it was probably one of the happiest, I don't know what to call it, the most content that I was up until that point in my life, because there was high, rigid structure with clear rules, clear consequences, and number one, they weren't my parents, and so they didn't have an emotional connection to me or my success. They were just trying to do the best they could to give me the best opportunity I could. And my parents were too. But they had been there my whole life, so they were emotionally charged because they've seen me at my best. They've seen me at my worst. They've seen me overcome. They've seen me succumb to some things. Whereas these people they just hear about my worst. And so there's just structure. And so I fly through the candidate phase pretty quickly. It was, everyone has to do 2 weeks, and then what ends up happening is after those 2 weeks, if I remember correctly, you end up going into cadet phase, and that's where you start. You still do all the stuff you usually do, but you start doing school, because even though they can't give you a high school diploma, we all graduated with HSEDs. They didn't settle for GEDs. They didn't settle for, you could take the test again. No. You will succeed, and you will graduate with an HSED. Or because you're deciding not to do what you need to do, you're done. You're out of there. And you know what? I had the largest starting class. We were class of 2000. Let me think. We were class 13, because there would have been 12 before us. And I can't remember if we were called chapter 13 or just class 13. But I had the largest starting class, and the largest finishing class. It was 140 something starting. They didn't have enough bunks. They had to ask the base for a whole nother barracks that was right next to, it wasn't like really far away. It was in the same area. We just didn't have access to it yet. And they opened it up, and we ended up also graduating with the highest class of 90 something kids. All of us got HSCDs. So you can't tell me. And at the time, I could barely believe it. But now I look back, I understand. You can't tell me that structure, a firm hand, and a willingness to not give up on somebody until they've given up on themselves doesn't change lives. Because some of these kids that were in this class with me were some of the most bullheaded, most chaotic, just outlandish characters you've ever met. We had this guy, Baldash. Oh, man. So this guy, phenomenal guy. He ended up washing out. Something happened with his family, and it just didn't end up working out. And so he got himself kicked out. He ended up just wanting to go home and figure out what was going on there. But he used to do this thing, and it would set all of us off because we had Company A, Company B, and Company C. And he would do this thing where he'd go all the time, just like blow air in and out of it, and he did this cough, and the way he did it, oh goodness gracious, we would be in formation, and he would do that cough, and we know exactly what his face would look like. And we would just start dying laughing. Oh, he was a hoot. I remember that was a good guy. I remember him. And we had battle buddies. It was very military centric, despite not actually being part of the military. I think we were just connected to the National Guard for help in funding, or they were, not us. I wasn't part of it. I was just a cadet. So you start schooling in cadet phase. You still do all sorts of stuff. It wasn't the greatest of rock climbing, but we did like rock climbing. We did trust exercises with walking wires and tight ropes and just some phenomenal stuff. We had obstacle courses that we had to deal with. I'm a big dude. I was a big dude back then too. I got to be part of construction crew, and there's buildings on the base that needed to be torn down for various reasons. And so there's us 16, 17-year-old kids there and handing us sledgehammers and pry bars and all sorts of stuff, and they would give us a little bit of direction. They say, okay, hey, we need this building down. You guys figure it out. And they would watch us, make sure we were being safe, make sure we weren't doing anything dumb or stupid, which we still ended up doing because we're kids, and most of us were boys. There were some girls, but the majority of us were boys. And we got to do that, and we still got to read, which, as I said prior, still is a passion of mine. Reading is, I believe, very, very fun. It's enjoyable. And of course, if you mess up, we called it getting smoked. The Army calls it getting smoked. I don't know what the Marines or the Navy call it, or Air Force, but we called it getting smoked. It's basically doing PT. Whatever the team leader tells you to. It's like, remember that line in Forrest Gump? What is your job, Drill Sergeant? Forrest Gump? Tell me what to do, Drill Sergeant. Yeah, that it's very much, and it's structured very much like the military. We had team leaders, which were called TLs. We had senior team leaders. We had the cadre, and then we had the colonel. And the colonel was he ran it, and he's the one, I believe, that started it. And then, so things were going by. I was passing my classes. So this is how I know this type of stuff works, especially with kids like me. And it can change lives. I am a terrible statistic because there are plenty of people that left Challenge Academy and never got in trouble again. But this is how crazy having a little bit of structure in your life, if you're someone that's similar to me. I left high school with a 0.05 GPA. 0.05. Do you know how bad you gotta be, or how little of stuff you gotta do to get a 0.05? There's no way I was passing high school. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I'd have to be a super senior just to make up enough credits. There's no way that I was going to pass. Well, when I left military academy, when I left the Challenge Academy, based upon the scores of my HSED exams and the tests that I did, the practice test that I did, I would have left with a 3.84 GPA. Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. It's not a 4.0. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Knowing who I am and the fact that knowing I'm intelligent, but just not willing to do the homework, not willing to put in that much effort into something, or just forgetting to do it, but knowing I'm intelligent, I was ecstatic when I heard that, because it proved that you didn't have to be the book nerd. You didn't have to be the goody two-shoes. You didn't have to be perfect. You didn't have to be any of those things to be able to get a good GPA. What you needed was someone to care about you. And I honestly believe that the team leaders cared. I truly believe that if it hadn't been Team Leader Dutton, never been in the military, nothing like that, but he for sure wanted us to succeed. For sure wanted us to succeed. Hadn't been for people like him, Senior Team Leader Eldine, I don't know if I would have been able to pass it. Because there was a time when, based upon my biological clock, that I had had enough. The funny thing is it was not because I felt trapped. It wasn't because I wanted to run away. It was, for the first time in my life, I had a sense of respect for myself. And there was someone... Hang on, let me adjust this. I'm slouching a little bit. That there was someone that had caused issues in the formation I was in. I don't even think it was my normal platoon formation. It was laundry formation or something like that. And they were having a conniption fit, and they were, for whatever reason, they were wilding out and acting out. And well, when that stuff happens, just like the military, if one of you messes up, you've all messed up. Because the thought process is that you should have seen enough to be able to stop them and be like, hey, calm it, man. Like, come on, calm down. And I had enough respect for myself that I ended up arguing with the team leader because I didn't want to deal with it. To me, I thought it was BS. That I was... Oh, and I had earned first cadet. So I had been so good that I was the top 10%. I had... my grades were the top 10%. My work was done quick enough to be top 10%. My bed stuff was top 10%. I didn't have any write-ups for talking back, not doing work. None of it. According on paper, I was a top 10% student, a cadet, whatever you want to call me. And so I thought it was BS because I'm a first cadet. I've shown that I don't do anything wrong. Yet because of someone else, I'm having to do these jumping jacks. I'm having to do these squats. Already being tired. It was the end of the day. We were just trying to get our laundry back to the barracks so that we could just lay down. The problem that I had at the time was I didn't know when to properly talk to the team leader because I wanted to talk to him right then and there, knowing full well what it was all about. I needed to get done with this PT. I needed to get done with this smoke session. It probably wasn't going to last that long, and then we could have been on our way. But no, I had to have a conniption fit. And almost get kicked out myself because of pride. Because of undeserved respect I had for myself. You should always respect yourself, but never respect yourself beyond your station. Where you are in the moment. Don't respect yourself for a future that hasn't happened yet. That's when you get in trouble. But so I ended up almost getting kicked out myself. And the proudest moment was when my parents got to see me walk across the stage in my dress uniform, get handed that diploma. It just said HSED, but they wanted to give us that experience because it's important to have the experience of someone shaking your hand, someone handing you that piece of paper showing you accomplishment. And every single one of my team leaders, my senior team leaders, one or two of the cadre coming and congratulating you and saying, hey, you had that little hiccup, but you did a good job. It was amazing. I was proud of myself. I wasn't proud of myself for something I hadn't done. I wasn't proud of myself for something that my family did for me and I took credit for. I was proud of the fact that I was able to get through something that was hard, have a mishap, go through it, a little rebellious period, go through it, which lasted all of about 6 hours, and still accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then I had to hit the real world. And now I am not even 18 years old yet. Graduated. In the best shape of my life. I thought I was in good shape in football. I had shed 64 pounds. 64 pounds in the 6 months I was there. I thought I was hot stuff walking, man. And then the world came up and slapped me in the face. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for reality yet. And I didn't have the structure to lean on anymore. Because I had leaned on it so hard, I hadn't created that structure within myself yet. And it was going to take me 12 years. 12 more years before I started to decide that I need that structure. I need that. I need it. Without it, I'm absolutely done. Absolutely done. And so, that's where we're going to leave off. I really, really enjoyed talking about this. I forgot how much fun I had when I was in the Challenge Academy. If you guys want to hear more funny stories about a big log called Bubba, let me know. And I will make a separate video just about all the hijinks that we've got into and all the crazy stuff that we did when I was in the academy. I have almost the entire time we were doing something. And so I got about 6 months of hijinks that I did or someone else did that I can talk about. So I definitely have a video or two worth of just funny stories that I can talk about. Well, that's it for today, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know how I can improve. I really enjoy talking about this stuff with you. Even my wife noticed. She said that I smile a lot more in these videos, and I just seem overall more happy. And I am. I hope you're happy. If you're not, I believe that you can be. And I'm rooting that you can get through whatever you're going through. I believe in you, and I hope to see you again on Wednesday when I talk about what I learned while I was in the National Guard Challenge Academy. Always remember, if we're going to change the world, we need a little structure so we can change ourselves. Have a good night.